All rise, we will obey. The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'audience de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Thank you very much. Court officer, please announce the case.
Thank you, Mr. President. Situation in the Republic of Kenya in the case of the prosecutor versus William Samoei Ruto and Joshua Arap Sang, ICC 01090111.
Thank you very much. The prosecution appearances I see remains the same.
The same, Your Honor, except I'm back this morning.
Mr. President, good morning. There's no change to the defence team of Mr. William Ruto.
Thank you.
Mr. President, there's no change in Mr. Sang's defence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see there's a change in the Victims' Council representation.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President, Your Honours. Today I am back here, Wilfred Nderitu, counsel for the victims, assisted by Mr. Ochlon Narantsetseg and Ms. Caroline Hadzik. Thank you.
Welcome back, Mr. Nderitu. And Mr. Bugo?
Good morning, Mr. President. No change in the representation of witness 356. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kiginkatwa, please continue. And witness, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning, Mr. Witness.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, in your testimony, you generally explained that when I played to you an audio yesterday also, you said that much as you noticed that Mr. Sang was pleading for peace before elections, in fact there was no violence before the elections. Is that your position still, Mr. Witness?
There was no any violence before the elections, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, in your estimation, about when did the violence end?
It ended in 2008, Your Honor.
I understand, Mr. Witness. I mean, could I put it to you that it was approximately the 15th of January? By 15th of January, violence was over.
Your Honor, in my own village, there was no violence by 5th of January, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. The other thing I wish to clarify, Mr. Witness, so that I don't need to play the audio before elections where Mr. Sang pleaded for peace, is could you confirm that from what you heard Mr. Sang saying at the station, he actually asked people to maintain peace before elections?
I confirm, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, thank you for that. It was further your testimony that sometime when there was violence, Mr. Sang and Mr. Ruto were at the station, at Kass FM station, pleading for peace, and according to you, violence ended when they did that. Is that what you said, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also said, Mr. Witness, that you had heard Mr. Ruto make a plea for peace at Citizen, was it Citizen Radio or Citizen TV?
Citizen Television, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I want to play an audio of exactly what Mr. Ruto said at Citizen TV, and please confirm if that's what you heard. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but could we have the ERN or the reference number of the audio or video that's going to be played?
It is Ken D11 0013 0058, and I'm sorry I missed out to read that here and now.
Is there a tab as well in the bundle?
It is, Mr. President and Your Honors, it is an audio in English, and so we didn't make out a transcription. Neither did we make, it's not in the tab. Mr. President, it is about a minute-long audio, so I'll play the whole of it.
It is
ODM
it is audio.
It is audio, Mr. President.
ODM believes that the loss of life, the destruction of property that is going on in our country is unnecessary and warranted and should stop immediately. Urgent steps should be taken. We are prepared as the ODM to make urgent steps towards resolving this issue. We just hope the other side realizes the urgency with which the situation in our country needs to be dealt with.
Mr. Witness, may I ask you the first question being, do you recognize the voice of the person speaking?
Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, is that the audio you had being broadcasted from a citizen?
I can't confirm, Your Honor, because what I had was in the television, and I can't remember the exact words which Honorable Ruto used that time, so I can't confirm, Your Honor.
Did you say you can't remember the words that Honorable Ruto used at that time?
Your Honor, I can't say it was the exact date because I don't remember how many days William Ruto came to the station to speak, but if it was the one which was in Citizen TV, maybe I could have recognized, Your Honor.
Just one clarification, if I may. Line 15, I think the witness said, I can't confirm and not can. I think that's an error.
Mr. Kigen-Katwa, before you proceed, if you looked at line 8, where the audio was played, it merely says audio recording played in open court. The text of that does not appear. Now, I understand there is a court policy adopted before this case, used in other cases, that audio and video are not transcripted on the record. One could see a practical reason for that. Sometimes this could be very long. Other times they could be in a language that is foreign to the language or languages of the court. But we cannot be wedded to a certain technicality when the reason for a certain policy may not apply. In this instance, the audio you played is very short. We should be able to get it on the record. What can be done is you, Mr. Kigen-Katwa, can repeat yourself what we hear on the audio, so that we have the text of the audio on the record.
I'm applied to you, Mr. President, and I request to do that through the witness in terms of what he had.
Why don't you just read out the thing? It might be more straightforward. And the prosecution, if they will, I'm sure, hold you to it if they think you've misread.
Mr. President, we had not transcribed the audio, and that's...
Microphone, Mr. President. Microphone, sir.
I know.
Mr. President, I had a few questions that I intended to ask the witness in consideration of him having had the audio. If I could go through those questions, and if there is need still for me to have that on record, I could happily do that, Mr. President.
There's a need. There is a need, and that's why. That should not be too difficult, is it? All right. It just, the tape is played, it's paused, you read out what we heard, and then resumes, you read out, like, until we get the text on the record. You can even have one of your colleagues do it.
With your leave. Another way perhaps of doing it is that the tape can be played and stopped every so often, and the transcribers in the court can transcribe it in bite-sized pieces, and we can just verify, or Mr. Cato Keegan can verify, and all parties, if that accords to what's been played.
What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get around a policy.
The policy, indeed.
Yes. I've also been told that it's logistically better if what I suggested is done because of the need for interpretation.
If the court officer could assist, it's...
What seems to be the problem?
ODM believes that the loss of life,
Mr. President, I have the whole text with me. If I could read it, and then we can play it just to counter-check what is...
You do have the text?
Yes, I have it with me. Yes.
All right, okay. Play the video, sorry, the audio first, and then you read the text.
Obliged, Mr. President.
ODM believes that the loss of life, the destruction of property that is going on in our country is unnecessary and warranted and should stop immediately. Urgent steps should be taken. We are prepared as the ODM to make urgent steps towards resolving this issue. We just hope the other side realizes the urgency with which the situation in our country needs to be dealt with.
Mr. Witness, this is what the text says. ODM believes that the loss of life, the destruction of property that is going on in our country is unnecessary, unwarranted, and should stop immediately. Urgent steps should be taken. We are prepared as ODM to make urgent steps towards resolving this issue. We just hope that the other side realizes the urgency with which the situation in our country needs to be dealt with. Mr. Witness, you recall that's what you had in the audio, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you review the text?
I'll go back to it again, Mr. Witness. Yes, I can see the word English was inserted into at line 18. That shouldn't be there, Mr. President.
Should it also say warranted or unwarranted? I don't know.
Is unwarranted, Mr. President. Unnecessary, unwarranted, and should stop immediately. And then that we hope the other side realizes the urgency with which the situation in our country needs to be dealt with, and that urgent steps should be taken.
All right, let's start again, Mr. Kigen-Katwa. Can you read it again, beginning from the beginning? ODM believes, can you start from there?
Yes, Mr. President.
And read slowly.
I will, Mr. President. ODM believes that the loss of life, the destruction of property that is going on in our country is unnecessary, unwarranted, and should stop immediately. Urgent steps should be taken. We are prepared as ODM to make urgent steps towards resolving this issue. We just hope the other side realizes the urgency with which the situation in our country needs to be dealt with.
Prosecution, do you have any difficulty with the text that's read out? That's what was played in the audio?
No, Your Honor, I have no difficulty with that. It seems that what it was played. But in the future, simply, I've noticed that the jurisprudence of other chambers has been to only admit audio if it has a proper transcript and a translation, if necessary, for the court. This was the case in Katanga as well as in the Lubanga case. So I understand this is a brief extract from an audio, but in the future it would be preferable if we did have a transcript.
Point is noted, and we will review that practice of the other chambers and see what they did and why. Mr. Kigen-Katwa, proceed. Now you can ask your questions of the witness. The point was to get the text on record.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, Mr. Witness, could you confirm that from what you heard, Mr. Ruto is talking on behalf of ODM, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, you will confirm that nowhere does he say he's speaking on behalf of Kalenjin, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you also said that Mr. Ruto went to KSFM and pleaded for peace, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to play you a different audio, which should be what was broadcasted at KSFM, and I will ask you to comment on it. For the court record, it is MFI T D09 00089, and it is a tab 15. Mr. President, we are playing the entire clip. It should be about 30 seconds like that, and the other one was 34 seconds. Sorry, I'm told it's 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Iko William Arap Ruto, jumbe na Eldoret no ameche ay baraini korong makchibiga pudita palenji na biga bemetat Kenya. Kenit nelel netni gaberuret a kidatul ne ngeni nelel ne isuldoy awonyen biga gaberuret at Jehovah. Amne mojibiga pudita palenji ale mi ngoyandi no emet mi ngale tata ngale gabuchaguzi che koromen kitcheme kengalal a kogibiga bodiem David Kenyoru arngaleja tagen goret nebo kalyet kitesetai kengololi ak biik chemi emetab Kenya ak chemi emotinwek chebo sang. Kangalal Gordon Brown, Prime Minister nebo olimbo Britain ak Mheshimiwa Raila. Kangalal kora Mheshimiwa Raila ak biik chechang chebo emotinwek cheterotin ketieme kecheng oret nebo iman nekitore ngalek kotestai eng ngalekab uchaguzi. Amache asom biikab Kalenjin tugul ngole mi biikab emetab Kenya kemuite kemete boriet kemete ngalek tugul chengeme kalyet eng emenyon nebo Kenya asikobit kecheng oret nebo kalyet nekitore ngalek chekomi akobit imanda nebo chitugul nebo pirkura eng ngalekab lewenisiet nekosirto ketieme keboisie ortinwek chebo kalyet kecheng kenyoru imanda nebo biikchok ak nenyochek tugul biik chekokipir kura ko kimache kesom biik tugul kakas kele boriet nemitei ak ngoyondit nemitei kebeberwek chechang chebo Kenya olimbo Eldoret, olimbo Kericho, olimbo Sotik ak kebeberwek olimbo Kisumu ak Busia ak olimbo Mombasa ak Nairobi kebeberwek chechang. Meche kesom kele oye ongimutyon me kalyet eng emoni makimeche keboisie ortinwek chemabo sheria kimeche keboisie oret nebo sheria kot kenyoru imandanyo. Kameche asom biikab kutitab Kalenjin ngolibo ak biik tugul chebo emetab Kenya asikobit kemete boriosiek ak tuguk chetesetai ak kechop kalyet asikotestai emenyo eng oret nekararan. Ko ya tugul kemeche kesom muitaet ak kesom biikab kutitab Kalenjin ak biikab Kenya tugul kotebi eng oret nebo kalyet ak kobin asikobit kecheng ole kitestai ngalek chebo siasa chebo emenyo nebo Kenya eng oret nebo kalyet.
I would request the court officer to assist pass over the transcript and translation. Now, Mr. Witness, as the exact transcription and translation of that document is being given to you, could you confirm that is the peace message you said was made by Mr. Sang and Mr. Ruto that you said you had at KAS FM?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. And Mr. Witness, you confirm this was approximately 1st of January 2008?
I'm not sure of the date, but it is the message that William Ruto gave at KAS FM, especially to the Kalenjin community, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, I can understand if you can't remember because of passage of time. But are you in a position to give us a rough estimate of the time range? Approximately when could it be?
Before 5th of January, Your Honor.
Before 5th of January. Thank you very much. And would you confirm if you had it more than once or you had it only once, Mr. Witness?
I had him live at KAS FM, Your Honor.
I understand, Mr. Witness. Well, I understand that you are saying you had it being conveyed to you live. But would you recall if you had it once or could it have been replayed?
I can't recall, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, when you had it, was it about 1 day after election, 2 days after elections? Would you have an idea? I know you said it couldn't be beyond 5th of January.
Some days after election, Your Honor, and some things after the fight that erupted in Kenya, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, so that the rest of the court is with us, I will read out to you the English translation of what you had and request you to confirm if that is correct.
Before you do, is line 9 correct in the answer? Witness, you are recorded as answering some days after election, Your Honor, and some things after the fights that erupted in Kenya.
Your Honor, I said some days after the election and some days also after the fight had erupted in Kenya.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, confirm this is what Mr. Ruto, who you said was accompanied by Mr. Sang, said. William Arap Ruto of Eldoret North, I would like to take this opportunity to wish the Kalenjin listeners and the people of the nation of Kenya a blessed new year and every success in the new year that has God's blessings. I would like to tell our Kalenjin listeners that there is serious insecurity in the country. There are issues surrounding the elections that have been very complicated. As ODM people, we are trying to talk so that we can solve those issues in a peaceful manner. We continue to talk with the people in the nation of Kenya and those from other countries. Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister of Britain, talked with Honorable Raila. Also, Honorable Raila talked with many other people from different countries. We are trying to find a just solution to the issues that transpired in the elections. I would like to appeal to the Kalenjin people, wherever they are, and the people of Kenya, to persevere and renounce violence. Let us desist from any action that may ruin peace in our country, Kenya, so that we may find a peaceful solution to these issues, and that every voter in the just concluded elections may find peace. We are trying to find a peaceful solution.
Wait. Did you say may find peace or may find justice?
I'm sorry, Mr. President. May find justice. We are trying to find a peaceful solution on behalf of the people and all of us who voted, so we would like to appeal to all people. I have heard that there is much violence and insecurity in many areas in Kenya, in Eldoret, in Kericho, in Sotik, in Kisumu, Busia, Mombasa, Nairobi, and many other places. The spellings, I think Eldoret, everybody has that. Kericho is K-E-R-I-C-H-O. Sotik is S-O-T-I-K. Kisumu is familiar. Busia is B-U-S-I-A. Mombasa and Nairobi is familiar. We appeal that, please, let us exercise restraint. Let there be peace in this land. We do not want to use unlawful methods. We want to use peaceful means until we find justice. So I would like to appeal to the Kalenjin people, wherever they are, and all the people of Kenya, that we refrain from violence and pursue peace so that our country may prosper. So we would like to appeal for patience and beseech the Kalenjin people and all people of Kenya to live in peace and wait as we seek solution to the political problems of our country in a peaceful manner. And Mr. President, that is in Ken D09 0024 0013 to 0014. Mr. Witness, could you kindly confirm that that's a fair translation of what you had in Kalenjin?
This is a fair translation, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you say Mr. Sang had accompanied Mr. Ruto when this plea was made. Could you confirm that you've not heard Mr. Sang's voice anywhere on this clip?
Your Honor, I didn't say that Mr. Sang accompanied Mr. Ruto. I said Mr. Sang was in KSFM when Mr. Ruto went to KSFM, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Could you then confirm that you do not hear Mr. Sang's voice anywhere in that clip?
Your Honor, not only Mr. Sang's voice, but there is no any voice of any Kass FM presenter who was hosting Mr. Ruto at that time, Your Honor. So I cannot say that Mr. Sang was not there because there is no any other presenter who has been given that he was hosting Honorable Ruto at that time, Your Honor. And I still maintain that that time it was Mr. Sang who was in the studio when Mr. Ruto went to Kass FM, Your Honor.
Right, so let us understand what you've just said. When you say not only the voice of Mr. Sang did you not hear, but you did not hear the voice of any other presenter who might have introduced Mr. Ruto. Are you referring to what happened at that time, what you heard on Kass FM at that time, or are you referring to the audio that has just been played to you in the courtroom?
Your Honor, I'm referring to the audio.
That has just been played in the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And in your own words, Mr. Witness, why do you come to the conclusion that Mr. Sang and Mr. Ruto were at the station when this audio was being broadcasted?
Your Honor, I can say this was the audio because I remember that Mr. Sang was the one who was welcoming Mr. Ruto, and he had earlier told the Kass FM listeners that Mr. Ruto is going to speak to the Kalenjin community on Kass FM, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, okay, we'll come back to that. Let's just clear a few issues from the
Your Honor, if I may, I think that it's a bit unfair for the witness in this circumstance. I understand where my colleague from defense is going, but it's only a clip of 2 minutes, 17 seconds. So clearly, the whole clip has not been played for the witness. I understand that defense counsel has access to these clips, and perhaps it would be best if we could put the entirety of what was stated on that day or what happened on that day so that the questions can be put to the witness and it can be fair for him. If we're asking him simply, do you hear the voice of Mr. Sang because that's what you've said in the past, but it doesn't appear, this is only 2 minutes, 17 seconds of it.
Mr. Garcia, again, it looks like that witness didn't need that intervention from you. The witness had made it very plain what he's saying. I think we understand his point.
Now, Mr. Witness, you confirm that, you've already confirmed that it was played sometime before the 5th of January, isn't it, 2008?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, could you confirm that in the audio, clearly Mr. Ruto is speaking on behalf of ODM?
Yes, Your Honor, you are speaking on behalf of ODM. And, Your Honor, I would like to say that I do not, many press conferences were made by ODM after the post-election violence. And I cannot say this is the statement, the only statement which Honorable Ruto made, because I can't remember how many times he made statements on behalf of ODM, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, much as you say Mr. Ruto could have made many statements, you still remain in the position you had confirmed a moment ago when I asked you, that you actually had this specific one, even if there are many others that he may have made, isn't it?
I remember parts of words that I had, but I'm not sure that this is the one I listened to. But I remember Honorable Ruto calling for peace among the Kalenjin, especially among the Kalenjin community. That's the parts that I had. But I'm not sure if this is the one I listened to or I confused it with another one with the same words, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Witness, it is possible that you have mixed up the audios you had or what Mr. Sang broadcasted, isn't it?
Your Honor, I'm not sure if this is the audio of which Mr. Sang was playing, because I have not seen Mr. welcoming Mr. Ruto to the studio, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I promise you to come back to that issue of Mr. Sang inviting Mr. Ruto and whether the tape is complete. But if you could just answer a few more questions from me on this, what you just heard. The other thing other than that he spoke for ODM is that in fact he says that we are talking with the people of Kenya. Isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, when he says he's talking with people of Kenya, you confirm that nowhere in the audio does he say we are talking with the Kikuyu, isn't it?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, you confirm that Mr. Ruto says, I appeal for peace from you people of Kalenjin and all people of Kenya, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, could you confirm that nowhere did you hear Mr. Ruto saying, I order you people of Kalenjin to stop violence?
Your Honor, I confirm I have not got it, and I have never stated in my statement that Mr. Ruto made an order, Your Honor.
Mr. President, at this point, I would pray to be allowed to have this audio produced as an exhibit together with the transcription and the translation.
Any objection?
Yes, the prosecution objects. Initially, I think the witness has stated that he confirmed, and then afterwards he seems to revise his decision. He says he's not certain. On that basis, the prosecution submits that there's no evidence regarding the authenticity of this audio recording, and that therefore it should only be given an MFI number. Also, Your Honor, one other concern of the prosecution is that the witness has only been played 2 minutes and 17 seconds of an audio, and the witness clearly expressed the desire to listen to more of it to clearly establish whether yes or no it is the same broadcast that he heard at the time. So that's also a major concern for the prosecution, and that's one of the reasons why we believe the chamber should only given a mark for identification number. The defense will be free afterwards in its own case to bring someone to demonstrate and to prove the authenticity of that recording, that it is what purports to be.
The chamber will admit the document as the next exhibit in the signed defendant's case. The chamber is confident that the witness's answer has mapped out the issue to be debated at the point of use of this material, if those issues remain pending.
Thank you, Mr. President. The audio CAN D0900240012 will bear the following number: EVD T D110024, and will be known as Sang Defense Exhibit number 24. The transcription CAN D0900240013 will bear the following number: EVD T D110025, and will be known as Sang Defense Exhibit number 25. Both items will be registered as public.
Mr. President, we would also pray that item CAN D1100130058, being the first audio I played, be marked for identification.
Your Honor, your prosecution objects on the same basis. The witness clearly stated, and it's page 5, lines 23-24, that he can't confirm that that was the same recording that he had heard at the time on Citizen TV. So on that basis, the defense has not established the authenticity of that recording, And in our opinion, it should be given in only an MFI number.
You then agree with the defense counsel. He only asked for the material to be marked for identification. So they will be marked for identification.
Thank you, Mr. President. The audio Ken D11-0013-0058 will bear the following number: MFI T D11-00026, and will be registered as public.
In line 3, I actually did not say don't. I said then. So you then agree with the defense counsel. Move on, Mr. Keegan-Cantwell.
Mr. Witness, you clearly are quite knowledgeable in Kenyan issues, having told us about a number of things. You recall that, in fact, there was a time when the media had a fight with government over a ban on live coverage. Do you, Mr. Witness?
I didn't get your question, Your Honor.
Do you recall that there was a time immediately after the President Kibaki had been sworn in when there was a ban on media making live coverage of news and other news items?
I'm not aware, Your Honor.
You have no knowledge whatsoever that there was a ban on live coverage?
I didn't hear, Your Honor.
Mr. President, I'll leave that issue there. I will take it up with another witness.
How much longer do you have? Have you come to the end of your cross-examination?
No, Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Can you give us an idea of how much longer you propose to go?
It is possible I will take this session and the next one, Mr. President. I will cut it as short as possible, Mr. President. Thank you. Now, Mr. Witness, you said you have a very clear recollection of Mr. Sang having invited Mr. Ruto to the station and given him a chance to express himself, isn't it? And that's when you said after his broadcast, violence subsided.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to play an audio, and then I will ask you a few questions. Mr. President, I am referring to prosecution document at tab 12, that is Ken OTP 0075 0042. And I propose to play timestamp 0 seconds to 1 minute 38 seconds. Mr. President, I will use the English translation, which is at tab 13. And with the assistance of the court officer, I will request to give the witness a copy of the translation. The translation is Ken OTP 0106 0312. Mr. Witness, please listen.
to William Samuel Ruto inendet ko mjumbe nebo Eldoret North in Uasin Gishu district inendet kora ko agenge ngondoik chebo chamaitab ODM chekikure Pentagon ko imbitab kumi koboto studio ku igiyogu somet ole wikatomoche konyo nyokong'ololwok amu eng kenyini tab koboto ng'alekab lewenisiet kotomo konyoru kasarta ongololchin ak inendet ko embetab rani ikono kasarta kobit kas sikobit okas ak inendet tuguk chemwoe ak tebutik alak tugul chekotinye missing ko tebutiet agenge notok yomoche komi yu sikobit kowol. Karibu mheshimiwa.
Kongoi missing arap sang akameche aiboroini ak biik tugul chebo kalenjin eng kebeberwek tugul chemitei icheket akamwochi alechi happy new year.
Kongoi missing. Mi biik tayari kokasin mheshimiwa kosan kote koron biikab Amerika kolen kakilen no Rwanda. Icheket ko saa sita kemboi lakini kale makirutosi tayari kokasin akoi let sikobit koruyo. Kokunoto itakat eng studio biikab rani kinyinet tai korok eng kenyini ako kikaimwa happy new year man ko happy new year biik chechang kokimwa netai komeche kiwekun kongoi missing amu kiimuch iretainen anan irib ng'echerengung nebo Eldoret North ko kingokonin biikab Eldoret eng kasarta ne noto ko nebo oeng anan nebo somok amu eng tai ko kiui kimi ng'olyo nekimwoe biik kolen Eldoret North ko makiwektogei iwendi agenge ak iwe ko koimuch inam konyil somok. Karibu.
Mr. Witness, that audio is exactly what you are describing, isn't it?
No, Your Honor, this is a total different day that Honorable Ruto went to KSFM, Your Honor.
What is the difference between what you adduced as evidence and this audio, Mr. Witness?
Your Honor, this audio was, Ruto was there when the Kalenjin community had requested through KSFM that we would like to hear the voice or to hear or to William Ruto to come to KSFM. But what I was saying is that William Ruto was making a statement both in KSFM and in Citizen TV. It was not that it was a request from the people. This was played late after the post-election violence, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, let's just confirm, first of all, what you've just said. You have the recollection that Mr. Ruto's visit to the station is as a result of requests made by people that he goes and addresses them from KSFM. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, yes?
And in relation to which broadcast do we have that circumstance you just described and the witness spoke about? That is, people requesting that he attend the station and address them. Was it in relation to the transcript we're looking at now, or in relation to the other broadcast he's talking about? Can we clarify that?
Mr. President, yes, we could clarify that. And with the permission of the chamber, may I read the English translation of what we just heard, after which that question will immediately get answered. Mr. Witness, this is what Mr. Ruto said.
No. What I want is the witness's answer. I don't know if I've assisted in muddling it up, possibly. But the witness said that, answered your question and said definitely not the same thing he was talking about.
Mr. President, that answer is exactly on the translation.
It's his answer. The witness is answered. Witness, all right.
May I ask him?
Again.
Mr. Witness, you say Mr. Ruto went to the station because people had asked that he goes there and addresses them from KSFM, didn't you?
Yes, I said so, according to the audio which is played now, Your Honor.
Good. Which is played now. Thank you.
And could you confirm this is what it says, so that it goes on record, Mr. President? Joshua Sang, before I do that, Mr. Witness, could you confirm how many people do you hear in the audio?
I confirm Mr. Joshua Sang, Your Honor.
Did you hear anybody else other than Mr. Joshua Sang, Mr. Witness?
Maybe you repeat the audio, then I will listen to it very well.
Could you recall if you heard the voice of Mr. Ruto?
Yes, Honorable Ruto and Joshua Sang, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I'll read. The Honorable William Samoei Arap Ruto, who is the Member of Parliament of Eldoret North in Uasin Gishu District. He is also one of the leaders of the ODM, who are referred to as Pentagon. Today, He is in the studio, as you had requested that you wanted him to come and to talk to you because in the year after elections, you have not been able to talk to him. Today, you get the chance through CAS so that you can listen to what he has to say and ask all questions that you have, and especially on the one question that you wanted answered. He is here to answer that. Welcome, Honorable. And then William Ruto says this. Thank you very much, Arab Sang. I want to take this opportunity to greet all Kalenjin people wherever they are. I would like to wish them a Happy New Year. Then Sang says this. Thank you very much. There are people who are ready to listen to you, Honorable. I even heard the people of America saying, no sleep. It will be midnight there, but they said they will not sleep. They are ready to listen to you until you finish. Then they can sleep. Let me welcome you to the studio today, the first day this year. Like you said, Happy New Year. It is really a Happy New Year to most people like you said. First, we want to thank you very much because you are able to retain or hold on to your seat of Eldoret North. The people of Eldoret had given you the seat for the second or third time because in the beginning it was difficult. There was a saying that people said that in Eldoret North, no one goes back. Once is enough, but you are able to obtain the seat. Mr. Witness, that's what you had in Kalenjin, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you will confirm that in that audio, Mr. Ruto says Happy New Year being the year 2008, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also confirm that on the face of it you can see Mr. Sang saying this is the first time that Ruto is going to the station, isn't it? I can see you smiling, Mr. Witness.
Your Honor, Mr. Sang said clearly that it was the first time for Honorable Ruto to talk to the Kalenjin people and the first time for the Kalenjin people to talk to Honorable Ruto. Not that it was the first time for Honorable Ruto to address Kenyans or Kalenjins through KAS FM, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, so that I close that issue, you have no audio yourself to show that Mr. Ruto had gone to KAS FM earlier than the date of this audio, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I want you to look at the first page of that audio, and that is Ken OTP 0106 0313. Can you see that, Mr. Witness?
Repeat again, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, could you look at you are given 2 pages, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to look at the first page. The court officer will assist you. It is the page with Ken OTP 0106 0313. Can you see that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you tell the court what date it bears?
20th March 2008, Your Honor.
And you would agree by 20th March 2008, violence had already disappeared, isn't it?
Kenya was peaceful by then, Your Honor.
Mr. President, that's all I wish to say on this document. I would like to have it produced as an exhibit. I am sure prosecution has no objection because it is their own document. I would like to have both the audio and the translation and the transcription produced as exhibits.
Prosecution has no objection, Your Honor.
The document will be received into the record as the next in the Sang defense exhibits, the audio and the transcript.
And the translation, Mr. President.
The audio and the transcript and its translation.
Thank you, Mr. President. The audio Ken OTP 0075-0042 will bear the following number, EVD T D11-00027. The transcript Ken OTP 0106-0312 will bear the following number, EVD T D11-00028. The first item will be known also as Sang Defense Exhibit number 27, and the second item as Sang Defense Exhibit number 28. Could Mr. Kigan-Katwa please repeat the ERN number of the translation of the transcript?
The translation is Ken OTP 0075-0042, and the transcription is Ken OTP 0075-0042. And the audio is Ken OTP 0075-0042. Just a second, I'm sorry. May I?
Okay, so the document Ken OTP 0099-0531 will bear the EVD number EVD T D11-0029. Thank you, Mr. President. And also, sorry, this item will be known as Sang Defense Exhibit number 29.
Out of curiosity, prosecutor, why do we have two ERN numbers? One inside the body and then a different one at the foot of the page?
I think the first one, Your Honor, refers to the ERN of the recording itself, the audio. The second one is the ERN of the transcript or the translation itself.
But if that's the case, we see that the translation is not an audio, but he also has an ERN. The same problem occurs. In the translation, we have 0042 ending in the body, and then the foot of the page is different. It can cause confusion sometimes. And
Your Honor, it's actually referring to the same. When you see evidence registration number 00750042, that's the audio, I presume, the original piece of evidence. And at the bottom, you have obviously a distinct ERN for the transcript and another one for the translation, which are different ERNs.
And what is 0041 then?
I don't see the 0041. I have before me 0160312, which is a translation, and 0160477, which is the transcript of the audio.
If you go to tab 12, which go to tab 12, we have evidence registration number ERN in the body of that page, the first page.
Mr. President.
Anyway, it didn't detain us, but
maybe Counsel for Defense were you referring to tab 13 or tab 12, just to?
It's tab 13, Mr. President.
And there's the reason for the confusion. 12 is a different ERN. 13 is the one we're speaking about. So there is no problem with the ERNs at all. Tab 13 is referring to 00750042 as the original piece of evidence, and the transcript is tab 14, and it's also referring to the same item of evidence. There is no confusion. Tab 12 is referring to another item of evidence, and I understand that wasn't the audio that was played to the witness.
Mr. President, Mr. Garcia is correct.
That's correct.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Then let's continue.
Now, Mr. Witness, you said yesterday and the day before yesterday that Mr. Sang mobilized people to compose and constitute a council of elders. Did you say, Mr. Witness, that?
I didn't say he mobilized people, but I said he advertised through Kasevamion. And also, he hosted people who came to teach the community about the Kalenjin Council of Elders.
Now, Mr. Witness, you also said that what was the time frame you put to this event, Mr. Witness?
I said before the elections of 2007, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Before the elections of 2007. Are you in a position to give an estimate of the time?
I am not sure about the month or the year, but it was before 2007, Your Honor.
And if you say it is before 2007, you could be referring to the year 2006, Mr. Witness?
I'm not sure of the year, Your Honor, but it was before 2007.
And Mr. Witness, is it your testimony also that the Council of Elders was put together with a view to assisting Mr. Ruto in his election bid?
Your Honor, what I said is that in the past years, the Kalenjin community didn't have the Kalenjin Council of Elders. And I say that in my own view, it came only because of political reasons of few people, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, I thought you had very specifically said it was meant to assist Mr. Ruto, but feel free to change your position if you want to change.
Your Honors, I'd like if Defense Counsel is going to be referring the witness to something he said in his testimony, that to be fair to the witness, that the passage or the extract be reread to the witness so that if there is a confrontation, the witness knows exactly what Defense Counsel is speaking about.
That's a fair point, Mr. Kirin-Katwa.
Mr. President, I will look for it as I proceed with other questions. I'll come back to framing that question specifically.
But you should have had it up front. If you're going to say what the witness said, please proceed.
Now, Mr. Witness, do you recall some of the people that Mr. Sang hosted?
For now, I can't recall, Your Honor.
Could one of them be, you mentioned John Koech?
I can't recall who exactly, because they were there many times, Your Honor.
I just want to suggest a few names, if you recall, Mr. Witness. What of Augustine Cheruyot, Mr. Witness?
No, I didn't hear Augustine Cheruyot.
Johnson.
Well, both Koech, you can see that's probably easy to get, but please spell these names when you use them.
Koech is K-O-E-C-H, and Cheruyot is C-H-E-R-U-Y-O-T. Mr. Witness, you also mentioned Jackson Kibor. Could he have been also interviewed by any chance?
There was a time whereby he was at K7, but I'm not sure if it was because of the Kalenjin Castle of Elders.
And Kibor is K-I-B-O-R. You also said one John Say. Did you say that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was he interviewed at the station on this issue?
Your Honor, the only thing that I can say is that I don't want to say what I'm not sure of. I don't remember for now.
And Mr. Witness, it is, you had, and you said it was done repeatedly, isn't it? It's not once, isn't it?
They came several times because they were introducing the issue to the Kalenjin community, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I want to play an audio for you of one of those instances that Mr. Sang hosted people interviewing and popularizing the idea of composing a Council of Elders. I want you to listen to it, and then I'll ask you a few questions. Mr. President, that is at tab 19, and the audio is Ken D11 00130067, and I propose to play timestamp 49.21 to 53.06.
Could we have a reference as to what pages? That I understand the timestamp, but
that would be a D11 0013 0219. I would request for the assistance of the court officer to give the witness the transcript.
Kongoi missing kotab Kalenjin eng tugul imite hoit kasarta noto betetutiet nyo nebo kasalen emet embetab rani komut kasi kuige mawek ingwech chekikosirto ko eng keretab borietab Kalenjin ko kikengalale eng kasarta nekoi kostoindetab Kalenjin akobo keretab taunet notok nebo boishek anan Council of Elders eng bororietab Kalenjin. Kikobo boishek cheterterchin studio chekikeng'alal ng'alek chechang mising chetokyingei taunetab noto ko Council of Elders. Noto ko ingemuchi kele kirwogetab boishek anan ko tuyetab boishek neimuchi keng'alale ng'alek chechang mising. Angotor chambik chekimwa ng'alek chechang kolen oye nguko matami chepyoso nguko matani ne kosubkei ak listini kasoman. Lakini komwa kole kiasomani kityo kou noto lakini komi biik chebwone sinyo komwowok ng'alechu tugul tetutichu tugul kotokyingei ne ko biik chemi nguno kityo chekikure facilitation committee biik che iumi kabwatutichu asikobit kotoi ki kokikimwoe kele akoi kobit biik chetou ki yekakobit kou noto ketestai tugul anyun eng oretab kecheng oret nekisuldae ng'alechu tugul ko kou noto komitei boishek studio chechoto komeche sikomwowech kabwatet eng ng'alechu tugul ak tokyinet akoi anyun tun keityi maketab kenyoru Council of Elders chechoto kobo Kalenjin. Kinget kele kot age tugul kotindoi ngo Nandi, Kipsigis, Keiyon cho tugul kotindoi chi tugul lakini kakimeche as kibwat kele tos kinyoru agenge nebo Kalenjin kokiyomyo kabwatutikab biikab Kalenjin kobun boishek kobun kipsomaninik chok sikobit kiro oret nekimuchi kisarune bororiet amu kikemwa atkan tugul kele chang ng'alek chenome bororiet chengap.
Mr. Witness, do you recognize the voice of the person speaking?
Joshua Sang, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, it is one of those events when Mr. Sang was seeking to mobilize people to support the idea of composing and constituting a Council of Elders, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to continue. Mr. Witness, do you recall having heard this particular audio?
I can't say I recall, Your Honor, because I had many of them. I can't say it was particularly this one.
And so it could be this one amongst others, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
It could be, Your Honor.
Ikwonge chito ile ne nekimuchi keyai sikobit kesor bororiet ko ngomami kabwatutik chekororon kobun biik cheimuchi koteb ng'ony koui mising amu imuchi kobit ng'alek chetiegei mising biikab bolotet eng sait age komi tuguk alake cheechen chekotakitoreti akot akichek eng kabwatutik anan eng toretet age tugul kouit ngoba kanisa kora komi ngap kouikitu kora kot ko biikab kanisa akichek kolen oye kotakinyoru biik chekototoretech kobun atebet kobun boisionik ko eng tugul kotameche komi biik che kemuchi keng'alale ng'alechu eng oretab keweiwei asikobit kenyor oret nekararan ko oret agenge ko tokyinetab kei ketoi kibagenge nito ko katuiyetab kei nebo biikab Kalenjin tugul choto chekikobirwek Jehova kutuswek choto 10 choto kikimong'u kou Kipsigis, Nandi, Keiyo, Tugen, Marakwet, Pokot, Sabot, Terik, Okiek ak Sengwer ko choto ko biik chekostoik chok chekibwoti kele biikab Kalenjin anget ale kiyakemwa kele tisab kimukomi Sengwer ak Okiek ak Terik kokikakimwa kityo kele tisab lakini nguni ko eng keretab boishek ak keretab biikab Kalenjin kekere kele tukomi biik alake chebo bororienyo chenyolu keisu ak ketebi tugul eng kibagenge ko kounoto komeche sikenai kele eng ng'alechu tugul kotokyingei ano kokoitano ak kabwatet nebo tetet ko ne ko eng studio betab rani ketinye kelchin mising ketinye representatives imuchi koma tugul lakini maimuchi kobwa biik tugul studio biik chekemuch kobwa studio nemwoitoi nekotochun tugul chekikoteta ako kikotebung'ony tugul eng oretab keret asikomwawech akobo bandab tai ak tokyinetab boisionichu tugul ko ane ko Joshua Arap Sang eng studio kemitei ak inendet Meja John Arap Sei asikobit kokatagakine karibu mising studio.
Kongoi no mising.
Kimite kora eng studio ak John Arap Sambu.
Kongoi mising.
Arap Sambu tegatishe.
Chamgei biikab kutit tugul akatok betutab rani ak len kongoi eng nafasi nekakekonech nyokeng'ololwo.
Kora kastoindet nyu kemite kora ak boiyot ako kora kipsomaniat neo eng bororietab Kalenjin Professor David Some.
Chamgei biikab Kalenjin.
Kongoi.
Mr. Witness, I will read the English translation of what you just heard, and then I'll request you to let us know if that's a fair translation of what you heard. Thank you very much, House of Kalenjin, wherever you are tuned in. This time has come for Kas Lene made today, this Friday, as had been indicated in the past weeks, in view of the Kalenjin people. The time has come to launch a Kalenjin Council of Elders. Different elderly men have come to the studio and have discussed many issues related to this setting up of Council of Elders. I know there are some who have made comments to the effect that women should not have been included following the list that I had read out. We will have guests who will join us so that they can explain this to you. Where is all this leading? What we have in place is a facilitating committee to steer the process and facilitate the selection of individuals to drive the process. As such, we have here with the studio some elders who will expound on this issue and provide direction until we have the Kalenjin Council of Elders. I know each community has elders, whether Nandi, Keyo, Kipsigis. Each community has. But our target is to see how we can come together in order to have one Kalenjin, one with membership of the elders and professionals, so that we can save the community. We have often talked about the issues that touch on the community that sometimes leaves you wondering what can be done to save the community. Kipsigis is spelled K-I-P-S-I-G-I-S. And Keyo is spelled K. And if we lack excellent ideas from people who are able to sit and do it, it becomes difficult because when issues emerge, we have to rely on politicians. Yet sometimes there are overwhelming issues where even they could require ideas or any other form of help, or even with the church members, sometimes wish they could reach out and get help from someone else, whether social or economic. Generally, we require a group of people that can examine these issues and address them in a good manner. So one way is this Council of Elders, which is a union of all Kalenjin people, the 10 communities including Kipsigis, which I just spelled, Nandi, which is N-A-N-D-I, Keyo, Tugen, T-U-G-E-N, Marakwet, M-A-R-A-K-W-E-T, Pokot, P-O-K-O-T, Sabaot, S-A-B-A-O-T, Terik, T-E-R-I-K, Sengwer, S-E-N-G-W-E-R, and Okiek, O-G-I-E-K. I know we previously said there were 7, leaving out Sengwer and Okiek and Terik. But the elders felt that there were other Kalenjin groups that we ought to reach out, bring closer and live with in unity. So we will be finding out where all this is leading and where the plans have reached thus far. So with us here at the studio today, we are privileged to have representatives who will tell us about the progress and the direction of all this. I am Joshua Arap Sang, and with me in the studio we have Major John Arap Sei, who will salute you. Arap Sei is A-R-A-P, and Sei is S-E-I-I. And then you have Sei saying, thank you very much. And then we also have John Sambo, who says, thank you very much. And then Mr. Sang says, Sambo, please greet the people again. And Mr. Sambo says, greetings all Kalenjins. I greet you today and would like to appreciate the opportunity you have given us to come and speak to you. And then Sang says, in addition, dear listener, we have elder and a senior professional among the Kalenjin community, Professor David Some. And Mr. Some says, greetings Kalenjin people. Sambo is spelled S-A-M-B-U. Arab is A-R-A-A-P. Some is spelled S-O-M-E. Mr. Witness, is that a fair translation of what you had in Kalenjin?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, you know that Major John Say was actually elected the chairman of the first Council of Elders, isn't it?
He was elected later, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, you recognize his voice in the audio?
I'm not used to his voice, Your Honor, but Mr. Sang was introducing him as Mr. Say.
And Mr. Witness, do you know one Professor David Some?
I've heard of him, Your Honor.
Are you in a position to recognize his voice by any chance, Mr. Witness?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. President, considering the witnesses' recognition of this audio, I will pray that it be produced as an exhibit, Sang's defense exhibit. I will pray that the audio itself, Ken D1100130067, and the translation, which is both translation and transcription, Ken D1100130200, be produced as exhibits.
Prosecution.
Your Honor, given the fact that the witness did seem to indicate that he did recognize it, the prosecution is not objecting.
The audio and the transcripts will be received into the record as the next in the Sang defense exhibits.
Thank you, Mr. President. The audio Ken D1100130067 will bear the following number: EVD T D110030, and will also be referenced as Sang Defense Exhibit number 30. Its translation, Ken D1100130200, will bear the following number: EVD T D110031, and will also be referenced as Sang Defense Exhibit number 31. Both items will be registered as public documents and public items. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, I just want to ask you a few questions from the audio that we just had. Could you confirm that according to Joshua, he is saying that this is not one, but a series of interviews and publicizing the intention to compose a Council of Elders?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree. He even said it was not the first one. There were others before that one, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, having initially heard these and many others, you would agree that eventually from this process that Mr. Sang was doing at the station, the Council of Elders was eventually constituted, isn't it?
I can't say it was because of Mr. Sang, Your Honor. It was Mr. Sang was working for Kass FM, and he was hosting people who were coming to sell the idea of the Kalenjin Council of Elders of the People, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. So it is now your testimony that it was not Sang's idea alone, it was an idea shared by Sang with other people, isn't it?
Yes, I said in my statement, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor. Now, if defense counsel is going to want to put to the witness that in the past he's had a statement which was different from what he's saying today, then once again, to be fair with the witness, let's reread or let's read the part of the transcript where the witness would have allegedly made this statement.
Counsel, can we not have two lawyers standing up at the same time? That's not necessary. It leads to cross-talking. I'm sure the microphone didn't pick up everything that was said. So, Mr. Garcia, can you go again, please?
Briefly put, Your Honor, simply, if defense counsel wants to put to the witness that in the past, in his testimony, he said something different or he's held a different position, then I think it should be reread to him first and ask him if this is his position still or if he has changed his position. That's all. We have to be fair to the witness at all times.
Mr. Kinkatwa.
Mr. Jonas, it is true I stood up and switched on my microphone in the course of Mr. Garcia's presentation. And my concern is that in all probability, Mr. Garcia knows where I want to go. And I'm very disturbed and concerned if in the name of an objection, an answer is suggested to the witness, and that's my concern. And Mr. Garcia knows that we have related well on this issue. I would really wish that he abstains from that. Now, in specific reference...
One second. So the record is clear. Are you suggesting that Mr. Garcia had suggested the answer in his intervention?
I wouldn't go as far as that, but Mr. President...
What I heard him say is that if you're going to contradict the witness on the basis of the supposition that the witness had testified in specific terms, that it's only fair that you first put those terms to the witness. That's what I heard him say. Unless I made something that doesn't contain an answer to a question.
Mr. President, my question to the witness at that moment was based on his answer immediately before the next question that I asked. It is not based on any previous comment or observation he made.
Oh, fair enough. Proceed then.
Do I proceed, Mr. President? Notwithstanding the time, Mr. President.
Good. Yes, indeed, we are past the morning break time. We will take the break now. The blinds will come down and then the witness let out of the courtroom.